Hey everybody! I thought maybe I could read some of my stories to you today. I do have a podcast. It's called The Shadow Hour with me, Madam Midnight. I am the host. You can find my stories on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and True Fans. And I also have a YouTube channel. It's called Madam Midnight. So, I have a few poems that I want to read to you. The first one is called Undertow. Gasping for air, lungs burning for relief, the suffering is nothing compared to the waiting. Just beyond my grip, I can feel myself slipping away the further I plunge underneath. The coldness of the dark takes my hope, and I almost let go. The whirling agony of losing you has drowned my belief in everything. All that was right in the world died that day. I'm trapped in an endless night of why and what could have been. I'll forever be waiting for you to come back to save me and to breathe into me new life. Until then, I am trapped in the undertow of madness and chaos that is my mind. In dreams, I see you running, and I can't keep up. All air is sucked from my world. You stop suddenly and smile. I stand frozen, trying to capture you in this moment, and then you disappear. The nothingness of me is all that is left. All that will ever be will forever be lost underneath the undertow. So that's a very sad poem about grief and losing someone that you love very deeply. I have another one called Smoke Break. It's about curiosity of what we think or what we want to know people do when no one is watching. So let's dive right into this one. I always wondered where you go during study break. I decided to follow you today. You turned around once, but you did not see me. I just blended into the crowd. You walked across the ball field. I stopped just edge of the woods, hiding behind a bush. I could see that it took you 3 tries to get your lighter to strike. The way you smoked that cigarette, it told me that it was not your first time. You leaned against a tree with your eyes closed, blowing smoke like some lonesome midnight train trying to find its way home. I observed you for at least an hour or so, barely breathing, careful not to ruffle the leaves I was standing in, and I waited until you had completely left my sight before I moved. Funny, I thought it would be more exciting to uncover the mystery, but I guess sometimes all we need is just a smoke break. So let me know if you guys like these poems and these stories that I'm telling. I would really love your feedback. I have spent years writing stories and poems, and I absolutely love it. And I hope that you enjoy it also. Okay, so this poem is called You, and it's a very sad poem. So trigger warning in case anyone has ever been through this or has experienced this. I remember you were sitting cross-legged in the grass underneath that big oak tree, the one with the most shade. You had an intense look in your eye as you were reading a true crime book. I know those kind of stories have always been your favorite. The real mystery is how I never noticed how beautiful you were. An awkward kind of beauty that only painters and poets fall in love with. Every day we passed in the halls of Jackson High School, and we never spoke a word to one another. There was always a sadness about you. I wish I had known what had troubled you so. A few kids picked on you as I watched you slide further into the shadows. Their haunting taunts still fill my dreams at night. Why didn't I do something? Could I have saved you? I recalled the day I heard the news. I had just got done with lunch when the whispers started. As the voices slipped into my ears, I felt as though I would vomit. The last few days came rushing back, the hurt in your eyes as tears slid down your face, me walking past trying not to make eye contact with you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, I repeat over in my mind. I ran and hid in the girls' bathroom trying to breathe. I never deserved your friendship. What a waste of space I am for turning a blind eye. I brought you these flowers. I know it's too late, but I just wanted you to know I saw you. I've always seen you, and I will forever see you underneath that big oak tree. It's very sad. Has anyone ever experienced bullying or any kind of, were you scared to speak up for someone or for yourself? Because I know that can be very scary sometimes. But I have lots of stories. Most of my stories are spooky stories. So this one is called 3 Wishes. And it's the typical story where you make wishes and something happens in return. Like, you don't get these wishes for free. And Phoebe finds that out in the hard way. So this story is 3 Wishes. Phoebe went out walking just to clear her head. Gotta find a way, anyway, as long as we can be together, she said. As she walked along the dark street, the night air was cold, and as the wind started up, a piece of paper swirled around her, and it fell at her feet. Phoebe picked it up, and it read, Madame Bathory, come see what the future holds for you. The address was 1692 Salem Way. Phoebe rushed to the destination with her hopes high. When she approached the business, it was closed, and the lights were all off. Damn, she said. Just then she heard a small creak and noticed the door of the shop was slightly opening. Cautiously, she pushed on the door. Her voice sounded so hollow as she spoke into the darkness. Hello? Is anyone here? She asked. No answer came echoing back. She went slowly in and saw a single candle burning on a table in the far right corner of the room. In the faint candlelight lay a book. It was open to the middle of the book. The words on the page was printed in some kind of symbols. The only thing she could understand was the words, for granting wishes for the desires of your heart. Her eyes grew wide as she reached out to touch the dusty book. She heard a faint whisper, Be careful what you wish for, followed by a scratchy laugh. Ha 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 ha! Phoebe grabbed the book and ran as fast as she could back to her room. When she was safe inside, she let a sigh of relief out. It was just a wind, nothing else, trying to convince herself that she didn't really hear the insidious warning. Phoebe opened the book and began to look through the pages. The symbols and the words were written in an unexplainable language in which she couldn't understand. As she flipped the fragile pages, she saw horrible-looking demonic figures drawn all throughout the book. A creepy feeling came over her, and she felt as though someone or something was breathing heavily on her neck. Phoebe tensed up and closed her eyes. Think maybe if she doesn't see it, then it will not see her. Just then the door of her room flew open, and she heard her mother's voice say loudly, Didn't you hear me yelling for you to come to supper? Phoebe jumped, with what felt like her heart was in her throat. Geez, Mom, you scared the life out of me, Phoebe said, swallowing hard. The next morning at school, Phoebe entered her classroom and sat in the back of the class. She was a very quiet and shy type of girl. Her glasses, a little bit too big for her face, always set slightly sideways on her nose. Flat, mousy brown hair hung just past her shoulders, unnoticeable, inferior to the one and only Jana Hale, the popular pretty cheerleader with perfect legs and bouncy healthy hair. What a cliche, right? Seems every high school has the same typical teens. The boys always hovered over Jana as if she was made of some kind of life-saving cure. Phoebe kept her head hung down and tried not to look at the disgusting display of worship. Cole sat down in the seat next to Phoebe and said, "Good morning, loser." Phoebe smiled and said, "What's up, weirdo?" They always joked around like that. Cole was Phoebe's best friend. Her only friend, if we're being honest. He was handsome, but Phoebe never really saw him like that. They met in the 6th grade whenever he moved here from New York. His parents wanted to get away from the big city scene, and they settled on this small town in Salem, Massachusetts. Cole and Phoebe had common interests and became quick friends. They both are kind of outcasts among their peers. During lunch, Phoebe and Cole sat at the table furthest from the most popular kids. Cole was making fun of how cool they all thought they were. Just then, Phoebe laid eyes on Dylan Daughtry. Everything else went away, and she felt like all time had stopped. He was the state champion and leader of the wrestling team. His muscles bulged as he reached out to his buddy Stephen for a high five. "Hello, Earth to Phoebe." Cole was waving his hand in front of her face when she finally came back to reality. "What did you say?" Phoebe looked at Cole and was surely shocked back into her body when Cole said, "Forget it. He doesn't even know you're alive." "I have no idea what you're talking about." Phoebe tried to play it off as though she was completely unaware of her stalker behavior. Phoebe arrived home and threw her book bag down next to her bed, and she fell hard on her pillow. Exhausted with the emotions of the day, her cat Luna purred softly and lay next to her. Phoebe pets her warm fur and tells Luna that she is the only one who understands her. Then she remembered the book. She hung her head off the side of the bed and reached for the book. Sitting cross-legged on her bed, she finally found the wishes spell that she had seen that night when she had stolen the book. A passage in the book said, "Close your eyes and concentrate, and things will become clear to those who believe." Phoebe closed her eyes and repeated over and over, "I do believe, let me see." When she opened her eyes, she looked down at the words, and they began to form on the page, and it became clear to her. The spell consists of granting the user 3 wishes. Each wish had a specific cost that went along with it. For each wish granted to you, something in return will be taken from you. Phoebe didn't let that stop her from making the first wish. She closed her eyes and said, "Oh, I wish I was beautiful." Phoebe ran to the mirror, and her excitement quickly faded when she looked in the mirror. Same old Phoebe, limp hair, big glasses. "Oh well, I guess it was worth a try," she said. Phoebe took a bath and brushed her teeth. Lying in the darkness, she heard the same raspy whisper, "Be careful what you wish for." Phoebe pulled the covers up closer to her neck and pressed as far as she could into her pillow. It wasn't long until she opened her eyes to her alarm clock going off. Half asleep, she stumbled to her bathroom and turned on the light. The reflection she saw shocked her, and she screamed a little. She looked around for sure someone else was in the room with her. Phoebe was stunned when the hand in the mirror touched her face at the same time she touched hers. Oh my, it worked! I can't believe it! Huh, I'm beautiful! Phoebe said as she admired her reflection. Her hair was layered in spring curls with a hint of deep golden tones. Her eyelashes thick and full. It made her bluish-green eyes sparkle. A beautiful complexion on her skin with soft, pink, natural-colored cheeks. Oh, goodness. How did she not notice that her eyes were crystal clear? No need for glasses. Phoebe could hardly contain her excitement. When she was dressed, she hurried down the stairs, and her mom had to do a double take. Wow, Phoebe, there's something different about you, her mother commented. Oh, I'm just trying something new, just a new style, said Phoebe. Phoebe entered the Salem High walls with confidence. Everyone stopped in the halls and whispered as she walked by. Cole sat down in his spot during English class, and when he turned to say hello, he gasped a little. Phoebe, is that you? He asked. Of course it's me, weirdo. Who do you think I am? Phoebe said with a smile. You look... wow. Cole... That was all Cole could say. Phoebe felt a little fluttered as Cole spoke those words. It was something new that she had never had with him. When the class was over and lunch began, the familiar groups gathered together and played out the same routine. Only this time, as Dylan came through the door, it was like a magnet attracting him to her. He swiftly walks straight over to her and lifts her hand to his and declares that she is the most beautiful girl he has ever seen. Phoebe smiles and giggles, while the cheerleaders made gagging noises. Cole stares in disbelief, and a little bit of heartbreak shows on his face. Dylan comments on the fact that Cole is too close to his girl and how he should take a step back. That made Phoebe happy hearing how proactive Dylan is of her. Cole gets the hint and tells Phoebe he will see her later. After the best day ever, Phoebe skips home smiling the whole way. She was lost in euphoria and didn't notice the car that was coming. Turning to look, she saw Luna dash in front of the car, and before it could stop, Luna was struck. Phoebe ran as fast as she could and carried Luna home as the driver apologized for not being able to stop. I swear, I didn't know what happened. My brakes, they just wouldn't work, the man said with a shocked expression on his face. Sadly, Phoebe buried Luna under the tree in her backyard and placed a little cross to mark her grave. That night, after supper, Phoebe's mom tried to reassure her that Luna was in a better place and that things happen sometimes out of our control. Phoebe filled the tub and sank into the warm, soapy water. The stress of losing Luna weighed on her heart. She closed her eyes and began to drift off. And in her sleepy state, she heard the awful laugh echoing in the air. Ha 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 ha! She quickly sat up and looked around. Nothing. Being in grief made her not really care about anything else. She went and crawled into bed. She took the book from underneath the bed and made another wish. Luna, after all, was the only one who understood her, and she would give anything to have her back. Phoebe closed the book and went to sleep. Dragging herself into school the next day was hard, but Miss Birch was given a mid-year term exam on the things they had learned so far that year. Dylan took the seat next to Phoebe. When Cole walked up, he said, "Hey, dude, that's my seat." Dylan rose with anger in his eyes and yelled, "Get lost, loser! Phoebe is mine, and you don't ever forget that." Dylan slammed his hand down hard on the desk and stared straight into Cole's eyes. Cole was taken aback and just took the seat in front of Phoebe. After school, as Phoebe was walking home, Dylan pulled up in his car, and he told her to get in. Phoebe climbed inside, but Dylan didn't stop at her house. He drove to the nearby river and parked. Phoebe was trying to tell him about Luna and how sad she was, but Dylan was only interested in one thing, and that was where he could put his hands. And then Phoebe pushed him away and asked him to take her home. Dylan pinned her to the seat and aggressively kissed her. "Dylan, stop, please!" Phoebe cried and struggled to get free. She managed to get her knee up and thrust it into his groin. Dylan fell over on the driver's seat, holding himself. "You bitch!" Phoebe stumbled from the car and ran. Luckily, a car was headed her way. It was a lady and her daughter. They drove Phoebe home and waited for her to get inside to be sure she was safe. Phoebe ran upstairs and locked herself in her room. She undressed and took a shower, trying to wash off the horrible experience. After she had settled down, she sat at her computer and tried watching some funny cat videos to erase the horrible nightmare. That instead reminded her of Luna. A single tear escaped from her eye. That's when she heard it. It was very faint at first, and then it grew louder. Meow. Phoebe stopped the video, not sure if it was online or in her backyard. She went to her window and peered out in the dark. The moon was full, so it illuminated her yard. The tree at which Luna was buried was swaying in the wind. Then she looked down at the fresh grave that held her beloved cat. The soul was scattered everywhere. Phoebe flew down the stairs, convinced the neighbor's stray had gotten to Luna and dug her up. Rushing to the site seemed like it took an eternity. Looking into the hollow grave, Phoebe screamed and cried out, "No, no, no, Luna! I'm so sorry." At that same moment, she felt a small, furry animal rubbing up against her leg. Phoebe looked down, and to her bewilderment, it was Luna. "Luna, you came back," Phoebe said as she cradled a cat in her arms. Phoebe took the cat to her room and bathed her and gave her some food. Luna turned her nose up at the regular meal. Assuming Luna just wasn't hungry, Phoebe went to bed, and later that night she was awakened by a noise coming from downstairs. She thought maybe her mom was home after the late shift from her job. Phoebe's mom was a pediatric nurse, and her hours could be crazy sometimes. As Phoebe descended the stairs, she heard a low, deep growl. The living room TV lit up the space in front of the couch. Phoebe leaned over, and to her horror, she saw her mother covered in blood, and Luna was devouring her mother's throat. Phoebe screamed and fell backwards. Luna leaped from the couch and laid on Phoebe's chest. Phoebe pushed her away and ran to the kitchen, searching for a weapon. Phoebe grabbed the largest steak knife and searched the room for Luna. Peering around the corner of the counter, she jumped with the knife held out in front of her, but nothing was there. All of a sudden, she felt a sharp pain on her left shoulder. She swung her arm around and caught Luna by the tail and threw her against the wall. Luna raged forward with a loud growl. Phoebe threw her hands up and then felt Luna go limp and then hit the floor. Shaking, Phoebe dropped the knife and cried. The police came and took her mother's body to the morgue. Animal control wrapped Luna in a bag and took her to be disposed of. Phoebe, still in shock, sat on the stairs. All of the words from the police were so distant, as if she was in some kind of dream or nightmare that she couldn't wake up from. The cop that was speaking with her said that they would have to take her downtown for more questioning. She knew that they would think that she did this. Then she thought about the book. Can I go upstairs and grab my jacket before we go?" she said. "Yes, but make it in a hurry," said the cop. Phoebe had one wish left, so she closed her eyes and held onto the book with everything she had and wished it all away, that everything was like it was before she found the book. Phoebe opened her eyes and the sun was shining. She could hear the birds outside singing. She ran downstairs and her mother was making breakfast. Phoebe smiled and hugged her mother. Luna was curled up on the windowsill, basking in the warm morning sun. When she went to open the door, it was stuck. No matter how hard she tried to open it, the door just would not budge. "Mom, what's wrong with the door? It won't open," Phoebe yelled. Her mother didn't answer. "Grab her arm tight. Stop her from wriggling," Phoebe heard someone say. Then she felt a prick of pain on her left arm. To her horror, she realized she was in a room with doctors and nurses holding her down. Her final wish took away the only thing she had left, and that was her sanity. How scary was that? Did you guys enjoy that story? I know it's kind of a long one, but I wrote that story August the 29th, 2024. I have many more stories like this, so if you guys have enjoyed this time with me, just let me know and I can share more stories with you. And I hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye. Or as Madam Midnight would say, have a good night.